Today's episode is sponsored by No Strings Attached e-News, your premier online magazine with interesting and informative articles from lifestyle, entertainment, and news worldwide. Visit the website to find out what's buzzing on nsaen.com. Welcome to the talk show Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. The goal of this show is to provide a learning experience to people of all ages, with guests from various fields in academics, a wide range of industries, and insight into the many forms of art, athletics, and entertainment. We hope you enjoy the show. Director Robert Schwartzman is today's guest. Robert will talk about his experiences as a director, actor, and musician. He will also tell us about his incredible new documentary, Hung Up on a Dream, featuring the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame band, The Zombies.
Robert Schwartzman, welcome to Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you. Robert, before we get to your incredible work on Hung Up on a Dream, can you tell me a little bit about your childhood?
Yeah, Mark, good question. Really good one. It takes me back. I grew up in LA. My family worked in the film industry. My dad produced movies. My mom acted in them. And so I got to go to sets and see how things got made, and really enjoyed just kind of observing the process of how things come together. My grandfather was a classically trained. He played the flute in orchestras, and he composed music for film projects, and he was a conductor. And all of his siblings were all orchestral, kind of like prodigy, Italian immigrant prodigy music people. So music and film has been sort of something I've been close to for many generations. And I also I'd say like in my family, I went more rock and roll kind of a listener. Like luckily I have an older brother named Jason, who's like a crazy music fan who knows a lot about me. He's very deep music kind of listener. I think I went a little further into like 60s music, where, he's obviously a big Beatles fan, all this stuff, but big Beach Boys fan. But I was turned on to the Zombies just by sort of being exposed to music as a kid and like hearing great bands, and you just kind of can't escape it. But, with anything, if something really grabs you, you go back and you want to keep listening to it. So there's a lot of music I listen to, but for some reason it was the Zombies specifically that just, I think, had the most consistent high level like output of music in a short amount of time that I just thought was incredible. And also as a music listener, it's the lead singer sort of sets the tone of the music in a lot of ways. There are early pop groups that did not write their own music, but they sang great songs. Actually, somebody that wrote an incredible hit and sang it incredibly well and had a huge hit was Del Shannon with Runaway. That was like one of my favorite songs growing up as a kid. But I think all the music from that era has similar things about it. Like chord progression changes are sometimes very similar. The use of harmonies, melodic music, very hooky, short songs. Could they grab you instantly? Like there's a lot of qualities to that music. And I think it makes sense because, I would imagine if you're in that time period, you're probably listening to all this stuff coming out because it's a new, fresh sound that people are working on. So you're probably exposed to like a lot of incredible songwriters and production styles that you're absorbing. Yeah, so that's really what it was. But the Zombies, Colin Blunstone's voice got me. The writing from Arjun and White really got me. So, and even into Arjun stuff, God Gave Rock and Roll to You is another like favorite of mine. So clearly I felt some musical connection to them as people.
Well, I love the family connection. My grandfather was also a composer. You wouldn't know these shows. You'll know one of them. But your parents would. He wrote in the 50s and 60s. He wrote all the music for the Loretta Young Show and One Step Beyond. And here it is. This one you'll know. 60 years after his passing, his music's on SpongeBob SquarePants. So,
oh my gosh, that's crazy.
So of course we don't own the catalog anymore, but I just love that family connection that you have. And A lot of what you do kind of mirrors the Zombies, because I know the band Rooney, your band, I think it was also made up of high school friends, just like the Zombies.
Yeah, it's very much, that's what was sort of scary at times making the Zombies documentary was, I think it's important to learn to be sort of observing of this. Like I said, I'm the youngest brother watching my siblings, asking questions. When you make a documentary, and that's what you do, you observe and ask questions, really, right? And then you go down the rabbit hole of the story. And then in post, you have to shape the story with everything you gathered in the interviews. But yeah, I think there was obviously a lot to uncover, but being a musician, my background in music with Rooney, I started my band in high school. Like you said, I was 17 years old. I didn't do it because I thought I was going to have a record deal and become a superstar. I did it because I really loved music. And I just felt so satisfied writing songs, recording them in my little home demo rig, and then getting to listen to them. Play them to my friends at school on like a CD burner at that time is what I had, or to be able to go play a show and actually like sing these songs on stage was so satisfying, because I had written, you're writing them and performing them almost at the same time. Like it was all happening quickly. What that means is you could translate this experience of music very quickly. So the turnaround time was very fast, which is different than a movie. Movies take forever to make. So it's like the opposite. You can get instant gratification with music. And that's what I really liked about it. But yeah, it was very similar. Our story, I'm now watching the Zombies guys live this incredibly long life of music. So I appreciate how dedicated they are to what they do. So that sort of maybe sets the table for me to really push myself to create some longevity in my musical life. But in my past, I met my friends in high school. It's like what Rod said. Do you play guitar? Oh, great. You want to be in a band? Cool. You play drums? Oh, let's do a band. You want to play bass? Oh, you got your bass player. You're not like doing rehearsal auditions with 50 bass players and you're going, that's the guy. You just kind of take whoever's there and willing to play music with you. And then we got a record deal really young out of high school. We probably got put through lots of learning experiences of working with managers and labels to figure out how they're actually representing you. And like not really knowing how the business fully works. Like today, my brain today implanted in myself then would be very different than what I was then. And also I can relate to when people say, why did the Zombies like not see this stuff coming, like with the business stuff? I'm like, I can completely relate to that. Like when you're young, you're not thinking about that stuff. Colin says when you're getting off stage, you're not meant to look at contracts. He's right. But when you're that age and you don't even know what a career even is, or what it means to be a professional, this, that, and the other, you're just really enjoying the moment and you're living in the moment, which is what you should be doing as an artist. They did everything they should have been doing. They just didn't have the people around them. For many, I'm sure many all through the chain, like there's a lot of people that work a band. It's not like one person. Yeah. So maybe it was just the time period you were in where, as they said, people didn't know if bands were going to stick around. So you wanted to make as much as you could. They didn't know. So yeah, those guys obviously shouldn't have been put in a position where they weren't able to buy food. Yep. But I think that a lot of bands today, you hear people today commenting about how they don't have healthcare or a proper salary, like a regular income. Bands don't make much money on the road. It's really upsetting. Like you work your butt off on tour and you make really nothing. So, this podcast, talking to you, if anyone's listening, like what I think it's important, if you said, well, how can people really help change this? Yeah. It would be just taking more of an interest in the live show experience for one, right? Like when a tour is out on the road, go see a show. That goes to the artist. Yeah. When you buy a t-shirt, that goes directly into the artist's pocket, right? So let's just be real here. Like you can create a shorter dialogue with artists you care about and be a part of their journey from a financial perspective, because that's why you do it. You got to like figure out the financials. too. It's not, I mean, you do it for the love, but you got to be able to like sustain the tour expenses. And then a movie too, when a movie's in theaters, when you see it in theaters, it actually really makes a big difference. Like it changes the whole life cycle of a movie when you see it in theaters. If you wait for it to hit VOD, fine, no judgment, but just know that it changes the sort of relationship with you, the consumer, and the filmmakers.
Yeah, people just don't understand the business aspect. I mean, I've had Tommy James on the show, and even Tommy Chung was on the show, and he was selling the T-shirts for the venue instead of for himself. Just that just changes the monetary system so much, and young people don't realize how much it's the music business. And I want to unpack something you said earlier about a documentary or a film taking so long. I was dumbfounded at how long it takes to bring that kind of vision to the screen. So now we have to talk about magic time. I say this not in jealousy, but in tremendous awe of you. How does a young director end up partnering with the Zombies to take the helm of their documentary?
Well, how does it happen? It's the want to do it, the passion. That's where everything starts. Is like if you want to do something, you try to do it, right? When you make a movie independently, something has to be the engine for it. I think that was my feeling of like, I have to make this movie. I have to get this done. Like, I love this band. I really want to see their story told. You know, those are the thoughts going through your mind. And so, yeah, I mean, like it takes two to tango. It takes somebody to have to drive it and pull together all the pieces you need to make a film, which is very technical. And then you need the subject, hopefully wants to be a part of the experience with you. You need access to photos and videos that they might have. You need the music people who have the rights to support putting the film out, you know, on the licensing side. The Zombies were really open with that, which was really helpful. I thought everyone that we talked to was really helpful in this movie. Everyone was really like, no one's getting rich off the documentary. Like, this isn't like some crazy thing where it's like you find the golden goose or something, you know, like this is like a beautiful story about an amazing band, and we're all here to support their story and help them. That's really what it was. I respect so much the Zombies as a band, and to me it was like a great honor I couldn't believe I was like going to be making the Zombies documentary. I just couldn't believe when I met with them and they were like, we're happy to do this. It was like incredible to hear that. And, you know, I'll talk to people in my generation. Most of them know the Zombies, but you meet people that don't know their music very well. And it's always like surprising that I would think everyone should be listening to the Zombies at this point. But, you know, what this movie can do is it can put what we all know it to do. We can really spotlight and highlight their music and these incredible people, and really hopefully, even if take the music and the band and the rock and roll legacy out of this. Yep. My hope is just somebody watches this movie and goes like, that's a really moving film. Like, I really enjoyed that movie. I'm so happy I watched that movie. And like, I think my life is like a little better because I just watched this movie. That would be a great takeaway. You know, now add the music and add the fandom. It's even more satisfying for all of us to do this. So yeah, it's a long answer, but I was put in touch with them. I made my case for why I'm the guy to make the movie. They liked what I had to say. They liked my passion for it. And they weren't going to stand in the way of it. So.
Well, I can tell you that in my past life, I was a teacher of over 30 years, and you kind of took the words right out of my mouth, because I see loyalty, friendship. I see bullying in the movie because the way the promoters sometimes treated the Zombies. I see overcoming adversity because I was lucky enough to have Rod and Colin on my show. And when I heard that when they were making all this money, the band was making all this money, but not the people in the band, and that they couldn't eat and they barely had enough money, it was just unbelievable. And I have to tell you that when I've seen them in concert over 20 times, and they're so great at telling their story, But how the heck could you you talk about the pictures and the video and all the things, but you took 60 years of songs, performances, stories, and end up with an amazing documentary. I mean, I don't think any stone was left unturned. That's got to be a Herculean task.
Yeah, I mean, that is the fun of filmmaking. A documentary is a new format for me because I pivoted from music years ago into like directing movies, and I bring my musical self to my filmmaking self. I write music for films I work on, and I think about films from a musical sort of perspective. And I think about music from a film perspective. It's very visual for me, music, and films are very musical for me. So they go very well. But yeah, I mean, you have to just look at you have to use your instincts when you're making a film. I mean, this is how I feel about it. When I'm talking to the guys in an interview, and I'm doing a lot of interview. I mean, we're doing hours and hours of conversation. There's stuff they're saying that I'm really connecting to that I really think belongs in the film. And there's stuff they're saying I just don't know if it has a place in the film. So that would just be your ability to kind of like understand where to put information. And then there's things that they say that, I can highlight in photos or archival or some stock footage that can really help create a visual feeling of what they're saying to complement it. And there's things they may have said that really doesn't have anything to complement it visually. So you go back and forth trying to keep people engaged. Different generations probably have a different way of viewing and experiencing things. If you grew up in a time where you went to the theater a lot, or you grew up with movies that are slower paced, you might feel less antsy in a film that's a little bit slower with air in it, as they say. And the younger generations sometimes like things to be a little bit faster and moving quickly because your brain is almost like needing quick information. We've been like sort of set that way now. So maybe we need to be mindful of the pacing of a sequence as to not lose the viewer. So these are the things you're wrestling with as a filmmaker. And that's what's going on in my mind, is how to shape the film in a way that's very engaging to different age groups, because we have a very wide range of audiences coming out to see Hung Up on a Dream, given that the zombies have such a wide range of fans. So, and if mom and dad show up with their children, right, because they want them to see this film, that's another entry point into another generation. But, I felt protected by the fact that we had such great music from the band. Like when you're making a film about a band with an incredible catalog of music, it almost gives you this great confidence of I've got this great musical foundation to build on. And I thought that was really helpful.
Well, I'm so glad you also mentioned the importance of sending the message to younger people. I remember that one of the questions I asked Rod and Colin, I said, I don't know if you can see into the audience because of the bright lights. Do you have any idea how many people waiting online to see you are young? And it was very interesting because during the Q&A at the Quad Cinema, you pointed out a 13-year-old young man who was in the audience. And I think that's such a wonderful thing that it's so enduring and that you continue that. But I have to ask that in watching the Q&A and you looking at and listening to Colin, am I correct? It looks to me, you guys sound more like family than just film colleagues.
Yeah, I think we've been growing a closer connection throughout this process. I'd say more even on the release of the film, I've gotten to connect with Colin in a different way because the cameras aren't rolling like with me on one side of it. When I hung out with Colin before, I was there to like shoot this film. So maybe in his mind, he was also there to be the subject. But like we've developed a closeness and a friendship. I think I can speak if you were to ask him, I think he just feels comfortable being around me because I can talk music with him. And I think he brought that up in the Q&A a few times, like having a music background really helps get to this common ground together really fast. Like, I just know the experiences these guys, I know what it's like to tour extensively and sleep in the back of the van, whatever. Like, I know what it's like to sing, to protect your voice and sing every night and like go into the studio and sweat sweat it out trying to write a song and be pressured to write a hit. And, and dealing with your, all the sort of like band, the mixed feelings that come along with a lot of people like sharing a life together. So I think I could just speak from the heart and the truth to him in a way that he felt very comforted by that. And yeah, that led to a closeness. And now it's like evolving, like we announced it, but we wanted to take the movie on a tour. We were just trying to figure out how to do that. And I was hoping that the Zombies would still be able to perform at a concert screening kind of thing. But given that, Rod's not going to hit the road with the guys anymore, I felt like, well, maybe I can just lend my sort of band background to supply all the Zombies music, and Colin will be there to sing. The way he does as a solo artist, he'll play with other musicians. So it's a kind of a great thing to be a director who's a musician on tour with the band that you're covering and supporting them musically on stage after the film screens. So we're taking the movie on a concert tour, a film tour. And we're going to be playing like major markets around the country and screening the movie. And again, like doing some more conversation around it with Colin. And then we're going to play a set list of songs.
What you packed into way less than 2 hours is truly incredible. And so I'll just end with this because we only have about a minute left. It's like an international rollout of Hung Up on a Dream. It's like a snowball rolling down the hill. There's always something new. I know it's a team effort. How do you and your team keep this momentum going?
Well, I think it's the momentum's created by having a plan and having like we said earlier, to make it a movie. We all want this movie to get out there. We all want people to see it. We made this movie for audiences. And the fact that the band really supports it and really connects to it as a film is really I think a big, amazing place to start. But yeah, I mean, like we have something really exciting on our hands with Hung Up on a Dream. And this is probably going to be the only documentary about these guys. And we just got to get the word out. So, the plan is to just continue to encourage people like yourself to talk about it, for people to post about it. I mean, word of mouth is powerful. I mean, Odyssey and Oracle was almost like a word of mouth album, right? The way it broke. I don't know, maybe the movie takes on a life of its own, like a lot of the Zombie songs have, where they're undeniably something you really connect to, and they're going to find their way. So that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping the movie I'm hoping that we're going to push it out as hard as we can, and you create as much momentum as you can and much speed. And I hope that, we can create more conversation around the film by people watching it, giving it a chance, and hopefully connecting to it. And then always remembering that your voice counts. So when you go on Metacritic and leave a review, or Rotten Tomatoes and leave a review, or when the movie's on iTunes and Amazon and later, when you leave a positive review, that helps us. And then when tickets go on sale for this tour, which they are right now, everyone watching, you can go to the Zombies website to get your tickets. I encourage everyone to come see us on the road. Like, it's going to be like a once in a lifetime kind of a show. It's like, we're never going to be in this position where, Colin Blunstone of the Zombies is coming on the road with the film to do a collection of zombie songs after the movie screens. I mean, that's kind of like this will be the only time to do that. So, and yeah, I would love for everyone to come see it, obviously.
Such a special show, such a history repeats itself. I mean, it's just so powerful. So Robert Schwartzman, thank you for joining us today. I can't recommend Hung Up on a Dream enough. If you're a fan of rock and roll, you should definitely see it. If you're a fan of the Zombies, you must see it. So Robert, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure.
Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. To contact Marc, email him at info@lifestorieswithmarchoberman.com or visit him on social media through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.